Hello model railroad fans. In today's video I'm going to show you a cheap and easy way to remove the rust from the steel weights on your Atherrn Blue Box era boxcars. Alright, so give me just a second to get this camera on a tripod and I will be right back. Thank you very much for joining me here at Vintage Road and Rail for another video. At the outset I told you I was going to show you a cheap and easy way to remove the rust from your Blue Box boxcars made by Athearn. But before we get into that, just to be clear, this will work for any piece of steel that has started to rust. It doesn't matter if it is the weights found in your Blue Box boxcars, or if it's the weight found in any other boxcar, or you have a wrench or a screwdriver or whatever piece of metal around your house that has rusted up a bit and you just want to take care of that. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just kind of aiming it towards those who have these Blue Box era boxcars. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's get going here. So the reason I kind of pointed this out towards, or making this towards these Blue Box boxcars, is this is an old Tyco, and this is a Lifelike, and as you can see, you can't see the steel weight in there at all. In fact, this one I had to completely open it to see the weight, and this one, while you can open the door and see it there, as long as that door stays shut, you're none the wiser if it is rusting up a bit. However, you may have a favorite boxcar, or you have gone to a train show and picked up a boxcar you like say this one here, and you flip it over and you see all of that rust on there. Or you have gone again to the train show, or maybe you just have a few of these laying around you've bought a long time ago and never gotten around to it. One of these kits, you take it out and you get ready to assemble it, and it looks like this. See all that rust on there. Now I will give you, and I'm sure someone may mention it, that it's on the bottom. You're not going to see it. Who cares? And I get that, but for those who this just is going to bug the crap out of them, you just can't stand to see it, or you just want it to look good, this is kind of directed at you. Alright, so and the other thing too, just real quick before we get into these, is you also may have one of these rascals like this that's sealed up. This one's not going to be the case. There's a little something on here, but this is not anything to really get a twist about. But let's say you wanted to add some extra weight to make this car heavier, and you take this out and it looks really rusty, kind of like this. You may opt to take this out and get rid of the rust, just so you don't have to worry about it in the future. So again, like I said, it's applicable to any box car, but again, it's geared towards the Athearn. Alright, so first let me show you a couple of different things you may run into. Obviously you can have one that looks completely perfect, and you don't need to worry about that one. But you may get one like this. I mean, if you look at it, it's pretty darn clean. The only thing you can really see is this spot of rust right there. Now that's there might be a little bit more like right here on this. I don't know that anybody's going to want to take their car apart to deal with that, but if you got a new kit and you see that on there, before you put it together, you may want to deal with that. And so for something that small, I would just get a little sandpaper, and just kind of get it off there. See how it's lightening up. You give it a couple minutes work and that'll be gone, and you won't have to worry about it. But so let's set that aside. Alright, so we're going to take this apart a little bit later, but we're going to focus on the piece that's already out. This come from a new old stock kit, and you can see there's quite a good bit of rust on it. But this, and as is the case with most of these, the rust is is just fairly superficial. It's just surface rust. All right, so the easy way to get rid of that, and I almost wanted to say the free way to remove rust, but really it's not entirely free because you still got to buy something, is to just use some plain old white distilled vinegar. This is a 32-ounce bottle that we just had laying around the house in the pantry for, Lord knows, I don't know what we use it for, to be honest with you. It was just in the pantry, and so I grabbed it. And then just get yourself a container like this to put the vinegar in. Now, I don't know how much this particular bottle of vinegar costs. It's Old World flavor, so I guess it's some sort of a name brand. But I did look, and it's like $1 to get a 32-ounce bottle of white vinegar at Walmart. Their brand, Great Value or Sam's Choice, whatever it is. So you're out $1, and probably one of these containers you can get at the dollar store, for $1, or even at Walmart for a couple of dollars. And the odds are you probably have something like this laying around. So, a word of warning: if you grab one of these out of your pantry, you put some vinegar in here in a rusty weight, don't wash it and put it up in the cupboard, and then your wife find out later that you've removed the rust from a steel weight in a container that she just put her prized potato salad in. I would say don't ask me how I know, but I'm pretty sure you can figure it out. Alright, so this already has some vinegar in there. So let's just go ahead and open this up. If I can get it to open. There it goes. Alright, and you can see the vinegar sloshing around in there. Now, you can get a container like this just to keep the vinegar in, because you could remove the rust from a lot of cars with this vinegar. I've used it on one already. But this stuff is so cheap that if you're only going to remove it from a couple of cars, and it may be 3, 4, 6 months before you do another one, I would just pour it out and just stick the container aside somewhere. Alright, but you want to make this vinegar deep enough that it's going to cover whatever it is you're placing in here. In the case of these weights, it's not going to have to be that deep, because these weights, as you know, are very, very thin. Where's that? There it is. I mean, there's nothing to these. I mean, they're what, 1/8 of an inch thick maybe? Not much to them. So what you want to do is just take this and place it down inside there, just like that. And the only thing you need to do is just make sure that it is covered. I've got a towel here in case I spill it, because this is laying on my train table. So just make sure that's covered. And I know for sure if you leave it in there for 6 hours, this weight, that is sufficient time to remove the rust. I have this one laying up here. Looked just like it yesterday, and the rust is gone. There's no rust on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a timer, and I'm going to come back and visit this in 4 hours and see if that is sufficient time. And I'm also going to take this one off and place it in there, and we'll see if that is enough time as well. In fact, let's go ahead and bear with me a moment. Let me remove these trucks, and let's just go ahead and get them sat in there. Hopefully this ain't glued down or anything funky. Alright. Okay, there's one side. Yeah, let's remove the other. I know I don't have this fully on camera, but I hate slotted screws. I like Phillips head better. Yeah. Alright, I apologize. Didn't know I was going to have to wrestle with it quite so much. There we go. I think that finally got it. There we go. Alright. Alright, so let's pop that off. and the back side is pretty rusty as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's drop that in as well. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, and I will come back in about 4 hours and we'll see how the rust looks, see if it's done or see if it needs more time. And if it's done, I'll show you what I do next. If it needs more time, then we'll give it a couple more hours and go from there. Alright, so stay tuned. I'll be right back. Alright, so it has been 4 hours since I put these steel weights inside this vinegar. Now, like I had mentioned before, I did do this with, I believe, this one a couple days ago, and I left it in there 6 hours. I meant to only leave it in there for 4, but I got sidetracked and forgot. So 6 hours was plenty enough time to get the rust off of this weight, and it was in about the same shape as this weight right here, the one closest to this edge. So we will see if that is sufficient time. Alright, so I've got some paper towels here. So one thing to note, you won't see me do this here because I don't have any water handy, but once you get these out, and you can either run it under water and help rinse some of the rust off, or just wipe it off with a towel, but either way you want to give these a quick rinse in some water and dry them thoroughly, because the vinegar has some interesting properties to it. It can be both your enemy and your ally. It will break up and loosen the rust so that you can wipe it off, but it also has the ability to cause rust. So you definitely want to get this, once this rust is removed, wipe it down and wash off the remains of the vinegar. Alright, so let's try this one, and also too, you're going to smell like vinegar. I got yelled at the other day because the house smelled like vinegar. Alright, so let's see how this does. So we can see we're getting a lot of the rust off here, and it's on my fingers. But it looks to be getting the bulk of it off, if not all of it. See all that rust? Let me get it. I'm going to submerge it back in there just to dampen it back up here. Alright, let's get a better hold of it. Scrub the rest off. Now, if I'd left it, I didn't have to do this extra bit of scrubbing the last time, so it may have loosened it up just a little bit better. I mean, it's probably loosened sufficiently that all of it will be gone, but I had to put a little less elbow grease in it. Alright, well there it is. And there might still be some discoloration, but the rust appears to be completely removed. It's on the paper towels and on my fingers. And they have a odd smell of both rust and metal. But there it is. So this is the one that had a lot of surface rust pretty much covering the entire weight, but it got that off completely. And this was the one that came with a new kit, or a new old stock kit. It had never been assembled. Alright, well, let's toss these to the side. Let's get another paper towel, and let's try the one that was, I've got a piece of track under here that I'm balancing this on. Let me just scoot my camera over a tad. There we go. Alright, so this one was on the bottom of this car here. Alright, so let's get it out and give it a little scrub. See how it loosened that up. Sorry, I bumped my camera there. Applying a little bit of elbow grease, but it all seems to be coming off. But you'll notice something, I'll point this out here in just a minute. You'll notice a little bit more with this one than you did the other one. So this one could stand to be in a little bit longer. I'm not 100% sure, but you can see some considerable discoloration right here, but it doesn't appear to be rust still. It doesn't feel rusty, and you can see considerable more discoloration right here. So it looks like we did get the rust off. I don't think it would really help to put it in any longer, but if you're uncertain, you could drop it back in for a couple more hours, which is probably what I will do just to be certain. But at this point, what you can do, and this is really what I ultimately plan on doing anyway, is just to prevent it from rusting any further in the future, I'm going to hit this with a little bit of black paint that has like a primer mixed in with it, and just paint this black. Because that will cover up any of this discoloration, and it'll make it just blend in a little bit better as far as I'm concerned on the bottom of the train car. Because unlike most train cars, it's not hid inside, you can see it on the bottom, and I would rather it just be black all the way across. But anyway, looks like that knocked the rust off of them. It did a little bit better here, but I think it's just discolored all the way across, so that's what makes this one here look a little bit more noticeable with the discoloration. But anyway, so that did knock the rust off, and it's relatively quick, just a few hours in a container of plain old vinegar that can be picked up at any Walmart for $1. And you don't have to go to Walmart, you can go to Kroger or wherever, it doesn't make any difference, and it'll take care of your problem. So it's probably about as cheap a method as it gets to getting rid of that rust. Container, vinegar, a few paper towels, but like I said, make sure you rinse this off a little bit with water, just to make sure you get any of that acidic residue from the vinegar off. And I would just almost recommend hitting with a little bit of paint or something just to seal it so it doesn't rust again in the future. If you like the silver look, get yourself some gray or silver paint, or if you're like me, you prefer it to be black, just get you some black paint and cover that. Or heck, you can get wild if you want to. Go with purple or whatever else you want. It's your train car, it's up to you. Alright, so that concludes this video. It's been long enough. So if you have a wrench or whatever, you can do the same thing with that. It doesn't matter. But it's pretty effective. Alright, well, thank you very much for watching. If you found this useful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you'll be alerted as to when I have another video. And until next time, happy model railroading. Take care.